Hey everyone! Welcome back to Story Hive. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Let's jump into today's story. I overheard my fiancé telling her friend that her ex will always be the love of her life. Am I cooked? My fiancé 30 oomph and I 33 got engaged in October last year, and we've been in a relationship for 5 years now. Everything has been great, and I can honestly say that I've never met anyone who comes close to her. She's been the love of my life for sure. I've known her most of my life. We grew up on the same street, just around the corner from each other. Her mom and dad still live in the same house, and I still live in the same house I grew up in, which my mom left to me when she passed away in 2014. We still don't officially live together yet, but for all intents and purposes she lives here. Her parents and she are really close, though, and she still has her bedroom there and will occasionally spend the night there. But she's never away from here. Anyway, this morning I decided to take a walk down to the shops to buy some things, and as I was about halfway there, I realized I had forgotten my face mask. Masks have been mandatory here in shops since July 10th, so I had to walk back and get mine. When I walked in the door to grab the mask from the kitchen table, I heard her speaking loudly to someone on the phone in the living room. She said, "Yeah, but David will always be the love of my life." David is her ex-boyfriend. I don't know a great deal about him, but I know they were in a relationship for 2 years, and it ended a year before we started dating. He also dumped her. I just grabbed my mask and walked back out. Just as I got to the shops, I felt weird and had to sit down as my mind was racing in 1,000 different directions. I eventually got back home and immediately told her I felt sick, sending her back to her parents' house as I didn't want her around while I was ill. I'm lying in my bed now wondering what to do. To be honest, I know she didn't do anything wrong. It's not like she cheated on me or intentionally went out of her way to hurt me, but what's heard can't be unheard. She basically said that the person she's agreed to marry doesn't match up to an ex she hasn't been with for 6 years. The fact she said he will always be the love of her life also means that it's a void game. Her heart's already been taken, and there's nothing I could ever do to change that. Also, you can't turn down the love of your life when they come calling, and I'd be dumped quicker than yesterday's leftovers. So what do I do? Tell her I was eavesdropping on her and heard her say that. Just end the relationship for a completely vague reason. Swallow my pride and pretend I didn't hear it. Everything has been wonderful, but there's no way on this earth I want to be someone's second choice, especially when her ex is the one on her mind that she obviously would be with if she could. I'm thinking about just saying it's not working between us. Update 1. I was going to update sooner, but I've spent the last 3.5 days drinking my feelings away. I'll warn you, this is not a good update. After posting and receiving some advice on Reddit on Thursday, I was thinking of telling her to come over at night so we could talk, but I settled on Friday morning instead, as I wanted to get my head in a clearer state. She still thought I was ill, so I needed a bit of time to think through what I was going to say. So she comes around on Friday morning about 8:00 a.m. with rolls, tuna mayo crunch her mom had made for me, along with grapes, sweets, and juice. I think she could see right away that something was wrong, as I must have looked stony-faced, and you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. Anyway, I said to her that I wasn't really sick, and that yesterday, as I was going to the shops, I forgot my mask, had to come back to retrieve it, and when I got in to get it, I heard her talking in the other room about David. Her face went completely pale, and she started welling up. So I instinctively stopped talking and just stared at her. She then ran into the toilet, locked the door, and started hysterically crying. Alarm bells were going off all over the place in my head. Her reaction made me think she didn't know what I heard, so she must have said some other stuff about him as well. I knocked on the door and told her that if she had any aspirations of saving this relationship, 30 minutes or so went by, and she finally came out, dabbing her face with a tissue. She told me David got back in touch with her 4 or 5 months ago, and she had been sleeping with him once or twice a week since. I mentioned in my previous post that she will occasionally go and stay with her parents, usually about once a week, sometimes twice, sometimes none. The thing is, I've popped around myself dozens of times over the years to speak to her mom or dad, watch television, or anything at all really without informing her, and she's always been there. So it's just become routine, and I've never thought any more of it. This has obviously been the times she's gone to meet David. All I can think of is that the snippet of conversation I heard her having was her friend or someone helping her choose between David and me. When I heard this, I lost it. I kicked her out, grabbed handfuls of her stuff, put it in bin bags, and threw it out the door into the front garden. She's still standing there, by the way. I then grabbed my garden hose and drenched the bags with it. I'm not proud of that. It was extremely petty, and in hindsight, I should never have done that. At this point, she ran around to her house, and about a minute later, her dad came rampaging around screaming. Her dad and I ended up rolling around the front garden fighting at about 9:00 a.m. in the morning, no less. The police showed up, and half the street was out because of the commotion. Afterward, I blocked her on everything and went to my friend's house, where the three of us spent the weekend and Monday drinking. When I got back to the house this morning, I noticed she had been back in the house at some point. She had made the beds, done the washing, and ironed. I have no idea why she did this. As I'm writing this, she's tried to get in again. I haven't been able to change the locks yet, so I put the door chains on the front and back doors, and I heard the chains clanging as she tried to get in. There's also a note she put through the door. I don't even want to read it right now. I'm too hungry and hungover to even think about what she has to say. Update 2. Since everything that has happened, things have taken a turn for the worse. As many of you mentioned I should do, I sent an email to her father explaining my side of the story and apologizing for taking things public and embarrassing his daughter. But, as I said previously, I acted instinctively. I didn't apologize for fighting him as I was reacting to him coming at me. He basically told me to screw off and accused me of biting his ear for some reason. So that's what was stuck in my teeth. I joke, of course. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. About a week ago, I went outside to find my car keyed right down from the passenger side wing mirror to the boot. Last Sunday, I was walking down the road to meet a friend at the Arches, a place where we occasionally hang out and walk from an arched bridge. As I was turning the corner, a friend of a friend called me a disgrace. I asked how I was a disgrace, and she told me that I'm a disgrace for beating up my ex-fiancé. Let's just be clear here, I've never laid a finger on her in my life. Either her father, or someone else is perpetuating this lie, and me throwing her stuff out and hosing it has obviously given this an authenticity. I haven't spoken to my ex, and she hasn't tried to contact me anymore. I think they're all on the same page now that I'm the bad guy. I've got the ball rolling, and am putting my house up for sale. I can't live here anymore. I wish I still had my mom to lean on. She would make things better. Sorry for the crappy update. Update 3. Hey, wow, so it's been a year since I last posted. Firstly, I want to thank everyone who has reached out. I've tried to reply to everyone, and hopefully this update will help. I am still in my house, but I will be renting it out rather than selling it. I can't in good conscience give up something that was my mom's and has been in the family for generations. I have since spoken to the father, and I understand why the family circled the wagons, but to throw me under the bus so brutally was genuinely ridiculous. Collateral damage to me and my name is all right, apparently. I've only known them my entire life. All in all, I feel like I was in the midst of a crap storm that changed course. I'm still struggling but feeling a lot better now that I've got an umbrella and a roadmap. I would also like to note that I posted on social media giving my side of the story. Whether or not that was right is up for debate, I guess, but it was after I'd let those close to me discreetly spread it at first. I felt the time was right. Her side is still singing off the same sheet, but I'm hoping neutrals will see things from my side. My close pals have been incredible throughout all this, but that's why they're close pals, I guess. Anyway, cheers. Edit. Well, it's been over a year again, and I have since moved out of my house and am now renting it to a niece older couple. So I thought I would update. I'm doing great and have even got myself a girlfriend. Wish me luck. What I've learned is that life came at me fast, but I stood strong, and for the first time in a long time, I'm looking forward to the future. We only get one life, right? Screw spending it with someone who would treat me like trash. Update 4. It's been over a year since I last updated about my tumultuous experience. Reflecting on the events that unfolded, I realize how drastically my life has changed and how much I've learned along the way. After the heated confrontation and the emotional fallout with my ex-fiancé, I took some time to process everything. The initial chaos left me reeling, and my actions, while driven by intense emotions, were far from rational. I ended up spending a few days drowning my sorrows in alcohol, which did little to ease the pain or clear my mind. When I returned to my house, I found that my ex-fiancé had been there. She had cleaned, made the beds, and even done the laundry. I was shocked and confused, and her attempts to contact me only deepened my feelings of betrayal and hurt. I couldn't bring myself to read the note she left. I was too overwhelmed by anger and sadness. The aftermath of the confrontation brought its own set of problems. I discovered that my car had been keyed, and the rumors about me allegedly assaulting my ex-fiancé began to spread. It was clear that either her or her family was perpetuating these lies, turning me into the villain in this story. I was now facing public scrutiny and social backlash, which added to the already heavy burden of my personal turmoil. Eventually, I decided to put my house up for sale. I couldn't bear to stay there, surrounded by memories and the remnants of what used to be. The decision to sell wasn't easy, especially given the emotional connection to the house that had been in my family for generations. However, I couldn't stay there any longer with all that had happened. In the midst of all this upheaval, I found solace in reconnecting with friends and seeking support. Their understanding and encouragement helped me regain my footing. After some time, I chose to rent out the house instead of selling it. It felt like the right thing to do, holding on to a piece of my family's history while moving forward. I also took the step of sharing my side of the story on social media, hoping to clarify the truth and address the misconceptions that had spread. Whether or not this was the right decision is still debatable, but I felt it was necessary to set the record straight. Life has slowly started to improve. I've been able to move on and focus on my own well-being. I'm now renting to a niece older couple, which brings me some comfort. More importantly, I've found someone new in my life. It's early days, but I'm hopeful and excited about the future. For the first time in a long while, I'm looking forward to what's ahead. What I've learned from this experience is that life moves on, no matter how devastating the setbacks. It's taught me the importance of resilience and self-worth. I've learned to let go of the past and embrace the opportunities that lie ahead. We only get one life, and I'm determined to spend it with people who value and respect me, not with those who would treat me as second best. Thanks for tuning in to today's Reddit story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on more amazing stories. See you next time.